Fine. Perfect. So, welcome everyone to the next Friends of Friends session. Today, we are going to discuss about the imposter syndrome inquiry. So, as always, we will try and first not intensive like past, but we will try and dwell into the science of it a little bit, what it means, what different flavors the psychologists have been talking about. Then we go into some life experiences, our own inputs around this, and then we touch upon something around mindfulness and how mindfulness these days talks about handling imposter syndrome and what it means, how much practical it is, how much it is not. Just as a context setting, what we really want to do over here is bring out the points from our life experiences where we are either facing challenge, or from our life experiences, the stories on how those stories in context to imposter syndrome can help other people. So for example, if I've gone through it and I know these techniques worked for me, or these techniques made it worse, we try and bring it up. Yeah, just to set the context of what the entire discussion should go like. So with that, I think let me quickly start sharing my whiteboard, and I hope it's still having the things that I have put on. Okay, can you see my whiteboard? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so a little bit of study on what imposter syndrome is. What are we talking about? So at a very high level, the imposter syndrome in your head, in our head, is at two levels. So one is what I know about myself, and that takes interestingly a smaller seat. And the other one is what I think others know about me. Yeah, and this is still thinking. This is not factually supported. This is and it seems it happens to most of the people in their career one point or the other, and seemingly from a gender study, interestingly, it is higher in women than men seemingly, but it's there in all of them. But sometimes in women it's a little higher, and there has been a lot of study around that. So um, what we essentially mean by imposter syndrome is that it's a psychological term referring to a pattern of a behavior where people doubt their own accomplishment, yeah, and always have an internal fear of being exposed as fraud. So now Jamin, for example, is talking about imposter syndrome, and maybe people are listening to him, maybe the study is right, but Jamin is always scared somebody is really going to call out him as a fraud, that he doesn't understand psychology. Why is he talking about it? And then, oh, I should not speak, or what should I do? Even though if I have accomplished cases, I have people who have given feedback, who have got help, um, including my own self, being my own patient, got help from my own studies. Still, I feel there is a fraud, and that's where I think the science around that particular syndrome is a little less. The science is about the cognitive biases and distortion below the imposter syndrome. What I mean by that is, for example, Pauline and Suzanne in 1978, they started, and they already started calling that this is not an actual disorder. And what they mean by it is that there is complete evidence against it. Yeah, there is a complete evidence against what somebody is feeling about themselves in terms of being fraud, or not being enough, or maybe it was a lucky thing that because of which I got my successes. So there is on one side a concrete evidence and proof of your success, which everybody can see around, and your own mind is going against your capabilities, accomplishment, and feedback what others give, with a fear that people may find out this is all fraud and I really didn't deserve it, and this is against my thing. Yeah. So it's a psychological phenomenon in which people are unable to internalize the accomplishment. So even if you win, even if you succeed, even if you got a big promotion in your job, you're still scared. You're not able to internalize it. You're thinking, maybe not. Maybe people are thinking I'm not there. Or now maybe even I'm thinking I'm not capable enough of the accomplishment that I've got, or successes that I've got. So this is the study around the entire context of what imposter syndrome is. And imposter syndrome then dwells into anxiety, depressions, all of the other psychological results, emotional results, which are then common to other distortions. However, there is one good news about imposter syndrome. The good news about imposter syndrome is that it is usually in the working memory. What we mean by that is It is during the instance of action, in instance of doing something, in instance of now, okay, let me open up and let me start typing a blog to share to people. So I start writing the blog. It's all good. I'm very happy with it. But when now I go to press the publish button, I'm almost paralyzed by the fear, because now I think, oh, people are going to see through this blog. People are going to think I'm fraud. People will see that I've copied this from other places, and etc. And then imposter syndrome picks up. Yeah. But generally, imposter syndrome does not stay with us in our long-term memory. It doesn't overrule everything in our day-to-day cognitive actionings. Yeah. So it's not really heavy on as a hard-drilled cognitive bias or distortion. It usually comes into action during our working memory, and then paralyzes us, stops us from doing things, makes us depressed, makes us anxious, goes away. Yeah. That's a good news about it, because then we know there are times when it comes. And then at that working memory instance, if we can first understand it coming and then try to handle it, then it is still comparatively less harmful than the underlying syndromes that might be surfacing up as an imposter syndrome. Yeah. But before we proceed, what do you think from what we have heard so far? Anything that you relate to? Anything? Any questions? Anything that you say, no, this is, for me, imposter syndrome means something else, or it works differently, or it works beyond working memory, in my experience? Anything?
I find it very interesting, but yes, I had like another idea. For me, imposter syndrome also has a lot to do with our self-esteem.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
it
if
does.
I and our and also our core beliefs about ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
If I don't have good self-esteem, if I don't believe in that I am capable, that will, in my way of seeing things, will lead, or can lead, very easily lead to feeling like, to imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Feeling
Yes.
like, oh well, I'm just pretending, trying to not be found out and caught as and thought of as a fraud.
Exactly. I mean, there are two different angles to it, and then Pilar, I come to you. There are two angles to it. One is that I think I am not capable of doing something and I don't do it, or I try with an immense fear that I'll fail. But from what I understand, that's not imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is that I fear that I don't have capabilities, while the proofs, the evidence out there speaks exactly opposite. So there have been multiple feedbacks that yes, you are good in this aspect. There have been
Yes,
some
but you don't
successful.
believe it.
Yes, but you don't believe it. Yeah. So not believing in contrast to existing proofs is imposter syndrome. Yeah. But
Exactly.
only not believing, but there are no proofs as well, that's a whole different thing to tackle then.
Ah, yes, that's
Yeah, yeah,
totally another
yeah,
story.
yeah. But you are right then. Yes, Pilar.
Thank you. It's very refreshing to know that the imposter syndrome is a pattern of behavior that depends obviously in a perspective, because both the perspective can be changed and can be refocused, or whatever it is, and the pattern can be broken and can be modified, maybe baby steps or maybe some bigger ones, but that is a very reassuring and filled with hope idea. And that was all I wanted to say.
Yes,
The elements of the pattern and the element of the perspective.
yes, 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 absolutely. Anything from you, KL, Shan? Anything you want to add from what you saw what, on imposter definition and a bit of what psychologists have been talking about?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
perfect. So this is a very beautiful concept, in terms of imposter syndrome, and I'd like to add a little more to this, and this is something I read long time ago, uh, and I'd like to apply that to a real instance or an incident that happened. Okay, so we say when there are two people who meet, there are 6 personalities involved.
Yeah.
Right? So, just for the benefit of the audience, the first one is what I think of myself, and the second is what I think of you, right? The third is what I actually am, and the fourth is what you actually are. The fifth is what I think of you, and the sixth is what you think of me, right? So these are the 6 personalities when two people meet. That is
Yes.
why if you look at during courtship of two people, it is always pleasant or it's always happy, because it's not what I actually am meeting the what actually you are, right? It is what I think of you and what you think of me meeting each other, right? So that's one thing which also adds in favor of the imposter syndrome. And here I'd like to then share a real-time experience in my career with IBM. So this was many years ago, where there was not a very very hardworking type of a guy, but he would really uh, deliver on what he was asked to do, right? And he had actually uh, not been promoted in the same timelines as probably his peers, right? But of course, he was delivering. So at some point in time, he had to get into that promotion cycle, and he got promoted. Now, when I was asked to hand over, because these are all operations heads and all of that. So when I was asked to actually deliver give this guy that promotion letter and then make that announcement, in a town hall, this guy actually refused to accept that. Okay, and it was a shocking thing, and it was unbelievable for me, right? You will generally hear people begging and threatening on their promotions, and even getting an offer letter from a competitor or whatever, right?
Yes.
But here was a guy who was saying, I don't want it, I don't deserve it, and he was like paranoid, right? And I am talking about at least 3 or 4 levels below what I was, So I asked him, are you scared that you will have to accept more responsibility? Are you scared that you will be given a larger team size to manage? What is your fear, right? He said, no, I don't deserve it. Just in one word, he said, I don't deserve it. I know what I am worth. I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
And this was a shocking statement, but it's a different thing that we made him take that. But this was something I really experienced, and
Yes.
it could have also been that what I think of you in my mind, okay, was interacting with what I actually am in the mind of the person who was supposed to have got the promotion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So these were two different personalities, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I didn't. I should have shifted into what I think you actually are, or
Yeah.
because that would have been a better match. But I think this was certainly an experience I wanted to share. And
Yeah. I mean, think about a person getting an promotion because the entire company thinks he deserves it.
Yes.
And he, on the other hand, he or she feeling, no, I don't deserve it. And is paranoid, it's scared to an extent that if I take this promotion, it will be more clear outside that this guy is a fraud. Whatever he has done so far, it was not really his talent. Yeah.
Correct.
So that's interesting. That's really a textbook imposter approach.
Right.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? Otherwise, we proceed. But again, for me, one of the most important aspect around, and let's remember this. Yeah, this is very, very important. Yeah, for me, as Pilar would say, this was very reassuring that it's the imposter syndrome in itself is a very working memory concept. It's like a volatile memory. It comes, does what it wants to do, goes away. Yeah, that's a very interesting angle to start looking at it, trying to understand it, and then trying to handle or whatever we want to do with it. So this this
And
looks,
sorry to interject.
yes,
One more thing,
yes.
I don't know if I've told you, but I'm a huge movie buff, and one
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
that registered in my mind and will stay forever
Hmm.
is The Mask. Jim
Yeah.
Carrey is a great
Yeah.
actor, and I always have praise. Although his personal life was completely in the opposite direction of what his movies depicted or the kind of characters he played, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So The Mask was another typical case of the personality, and this may relate very much to your point, Jamin, in terms of just staying in the working memory, which is short term and not really a long term phenomenon,
Yeah.
where this guy accomplishes impossible things just when he wears that mask, right? So this imposter syndrome, could it also be somebody assuming Garangutan kind of responsibilities or becoming a Superman, just for that small brief period of time, was what thought I wanted to leave.
Yeah. No, that's a very interesting angle of looking at it.
Because he was an imposter wearing that mask, and he was
Yeah.
not what he depicted to be, like the
Yeah.
Casanova or the rich guy, or
Yeah. I mean, the fact that in when he is not wearing a mask,
Mhm.
he doubting himself that he
Yes.
is not the one who has done these things,
Right.
and which means people will figure out, or specifically the girl whom he had crush on, figuring it out that
Right.
he is not the one. He is not as cool as the person who wore the mask,
Right.
and that's why feeling short of what he actually is an imposter syndrome. So when it goes negative within you, but then when he figures out that no, I am the mask, so I without the
Correct.
mask also can do things, it was
Yes.
always me, that is
Yes.
when he overcome the
Correct.
imposter syndrome. Yeah, so that is absolutely the point. Yes, from that angle, yes, it's a very good case of imposter syndrome. Thank you.
Yeah.